Hello, everyone. Welcome to lesson 8, where we're going to be talking about lists in Python. So, list. Let's talk about them, okay? Lists are one of the most important building blocks in Python. So, when you think about a list in your personal life, you think about like a grocery list, or maybe you have a playlist, like a list of your favorite songs, or some type of list of all your expenses. So you already understand then the power of list. Basically, you have a group of items that you can store in one place. And when you refer to that particular place, you get all those items. So let's talk about how lists work in Python. All right, so I've called this project lesson 8, and then I created inside the root of the project directory a list.py file. Imagine writing item 1, milk, eggs, bread. So these are 3 different statements, and that's kind of annoying, right? But with the list, we could just go grocery list and add all those items in there. And so to refer to that grocery list, all you would need to do is, let's go ahead and print, run it. We get milk, eggs, and bread. So this is much cleaner and more useful and easier to write, actually. So a list is just a collection of items wrapped in square brackets, separated by commas. Here's another list, playlist list. I've grouped these similar items in this playlist. And so you can put any type of data inside of list. I'm using strings right now, but we could put numbers. There's other data types that you can put in here called Boolean, and you could put other lists in here. The cool thing about this list inside of Python is that you are able to add any type of item into this list of items. As you could see, this is a string, this is a string, and this is another string, and what's separating them is commas. So for example, this has a string, this has an int, this has a float, and this has this data type called Boolean, which we will discuss soon. So if I print this out, you can see the items inside of that list. So now we're going to start talking about the different ways that you can use and interact with these lists. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to actually get an item out of the list. Get item out of list. All right, so I'm just going to comment all this out. All right. Okay, so I'm going to use the playlist as our list, and each item in this list has a position number called an index. And so do you remember from strings? Same thing. Python's going to start counting from 0, 1, 2. So if we want to grab an item, so let's say I want to grab SZA from playlist, then I just reference the list, use its index, and I print it. And there we go, SZA. Awesome. And I can also literally assign my fave artist equals, we get rid of this print, and then I print my fave artist, SZA. So we can also grab that item and assign it to a variable. So what if we want to grab the last item? Well, if you guys remember from the strings, to grab the last item, you use the negative index. So let me go ahead and print, let's see, playlist. I'm going to grab the last item by using -1, and this should print Frank Ocean. And there we have it, Frank Ocean. So indexes make it easy to grab what you need, but what if you want to grab multiple items at once? And that's where slicing comes in. And you guys should remember that from last lesson, how we were able to slice with the strings. We're also able to slice using lists, and it's the same concept. So let me just go ahead and comment this out. Okay, and so the format to slice for list is grab the list, and then you take the start index, use that colon, and you go all the way to the end index. The item at the end index will not be included, just like the strings. None of this is new. So let me go ahead and create the playlist. All right, so now we have our playlist. And I'm going to grab the first two items. So playlist, reference the actual list. 0, I want the start index at 0, and I want the end index at 2. And so this should grab the first two items because the end index is exclusive. It does not include that item. So let's go ahead and run the program. And you see it, Beyonce and SZA. And so just another quick example. If I want to grab just the start index and then use the colon, it's going to grab everything from 1 on. So this should grab everything from SZA on. So lists are mutable. And so what does mutable mean? It means it can be changed. So let's say I added the wrong item in this playlist. Frank Ocean is not correct. What I could do is I could easily just go playlist, select the item that I want to change. So the index for Frank Ocean is 012. I'm going to say 2, and I can reassign it to who I'm going to put. Jody Watley. That's so random. But yeah, Jody Watley. And then if I print the playlist, actually Jody Watley is not random. Y'all know about that. Okay, here, let me run this. Now our list should say Beyonce, SZA, and Jody Watley. There we go. We have changed the item in the list. All right, so I'm going to comment this out and keep on moving. All right, so how do we add an item to a list? All we got to use is this method called append. Super easy. So let me go ahead and print it out for you. And so playlist.append, and inside the parentheses, you put the item that you want to add to the playlist. And this is going to add it to the end of the list. Now, this is yelling at me because PyCharm realizes that there's an easier way to do this, but just for this example, I'm going to do it this way for you. All right, so if I print this, you're going to see that this list now has 4 items in it. So let's say that we want to add an item to a specific position in our list. That is relatively straightforward as well. Playlist.insert. Playlist.insert, you use this method, insert, and you put the position number where you would like to have the new item, and then the item itself. And so what is going to happen right here? Now we're going to have this additional item placed at position 1. And then these other items, and don't forget I have star, are going to scoot over and make room for it. So let me go ahead and print. Okay, Beyonce, Erykah Badu. Now at position 1, SZA, Frank Ocean, and Star. Okay, let's keep on moving. Now, what if we want, let me clean this up for us a little bit. Add item to list, just say insert to list. All right, and so now, how about we remove Star because I can't sing like all of them. All right, so let's now remove an item from the list. So how about we remove Star from this list because I am not a singer. And the way to do that is you literally just remove it by its name. Okay, so I am going to literally hit playlist.remove and pass in the exact item that is in that list. And it's hard to see. Here, we can look right here. I'm going to pass in this item and that will remove it. And then let's go ahead and print the new playlist. Okay, you can see that it removed it. Let's say I want to remove the last item. Okay, well, now the last item is Frank Ocean. And so there's a way to do that. Remove last item. Do playlist dot pop, and you just use parens. You don't need to put anything inside of there. That will pop it off. Alrighty? Pop that last item off. And there you can see it. Beyonce, Erykah Badu, SZA, Frank Ocean is no longer there. Okay, so let me show you a common mistake that people can make when working with list and copying list. So copying list the wrong way. All right. So if we look at this code, list A has a list with the items red, green, and blue in it. And then we copy list A to list B. So let's just quickly print list B. Red, green, blue. That makes sense, right? We just assigned list A to list B. That definitely makes sense. Now, where it gets interesting is if I append yellow to list A, what is list B going to look like? Okay, cool. Red, green, blue, and yellow. That makes sense, right? Now, what's really, really interesting is now if I print list A, watch what happens. Red, green, blue, and yellow. Now list A has that yellow in there. And we didn't even add yellow into it. So what happened here? So in Python, when you assign one list to another variable using this assignment operator, both variables are essentially pointing to the same list in memory. And so what that means is when you make a change to one list, it's going to reflect in the other because they are referencing the same data structure in memory. Let's not get like too deep in the weeds with that, but just know at the end of the day, if you wanted to actually make a true copy, what you would need to do then is you would need to make a slice of it. So let me show you what I mean. Let's just go ahead and add this. Let's get rid of some of this stuff and just clean it up a little bit. Make a copy of list. And okay, so list A, what we actually need to use is the slicing method, which we learned just now. Go ahead and use that. And we can then append list B dot append pink. And so we print list B, and then what we'll do is we'll print list A to see if this worked. All right, so let me comment. This is getting confusing, but it's okay. I think it's not too confusing. You guys know that the statements go down the list and it's being read in order. All right, so here we are right now. This is list B. We added this pink onto there. And now here's list A, where it's red, green, blue, and yellow. And so remember, red, green, and blue. We assigned list A to list B. But then we actually appended yellow to list B. And since they are pointing to the same place in memory, they're the same, then that's the reason why that yellow is in there. And then now we continue to go down here and we say, hey, you know what? Actually, I want to make a copy of list A. And so you're using the slice, which is going to give us list A plus that appended yellow and be assigned to list B. All right, and so we have our list A that's unchanged, and we have our list B that is now a brand new copy of list A. So moving along, let me go ahead and comment some of this out. Another thing that you can do with lists, remember I said lists can hold many other data types. You can also actually have another list inside of a list as an item. So what do I mean by that? So nesting list. So we have this wrappers list, and inside of there, we have a list with male wrappers, and then we have another list with female wrappers. And so if I want to grab the male wrappers, I just say wrappers at 0 because this is in position 0. All right, so let me go ahead and print that. Male wrappers. And we can see it says Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Then if I want to grab the female wrappers, grab the first item. So this is item 1, this is item 2. And you remember, you can always tell because there's a comma separating them between the items. Go ahead and print female. All right. So this is really cool because we have the first list and we have the second list. So let's say that I wanted to grab Kendrick Lamar from this nested list. All right. So what I would need to do is I basically need to do a double index. So I reference the first item. So this list is at position 0. And then inside of the list, Kendrick Lamar is also at position 0. So all I would need to do then is print. I'm going to actually just use the wrappers, and I'm going to reference the first list. And then to get inside of that list, I also need to use that double index. And this should print Kendrick Lamar. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's say I want to grab Nicki Minaj. So this is the 0th item. This is the first. I'm going to grab the element at index 1 inside of the wrappers list. And then to grab the item inside of index 1, to grab Nicki Minaj, I need to also grab it at item 1. And there we have it, Nicki Minaj. All right, so let me show you how you can get the count of items in your list. So count of items in a list, you already did this before with strings. It's the same thing. You use this length method to calculate the number of items in the list. So let me create a new list. I'm going to call it numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, forgot the comma. Okay, and then all I have to do is, let me go ahead and use a print statement, use that length function, and pass in the numbers. Print it, and we can see that it says 4. So I'm going to paste some code for us just so we can see it in action using lists and actions. Now, one thing that I'm going to say is the code that I'm putting here is, this is badly written code, meaning don't do this. Don't do this, okay? That's all I gotta say. However, the stage that we're in right now, we haven't learned the techniques yet to make this better written code. So just letting you know that, all right? So let me go ahead and paste all of this. Can I make this smaller? Okay. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. All right, so we have a list called days, and there's 7 items in here. And then I haven't showed this to you yet, but this is an empty list right here. When you have the square brackets like that, it means it's empty, and you can either put something in there or nothing at all. And we now have this print statement. Okay, and then our program, what it's doing is it's going to ask us to input user information, and it's using the F strings to format, hey, enter a meal for days at the 0th position, days at the 0 index equals Monday. And then the user inputs something. And then whatever they input is going to be added to this meals list, because remember, the append method adds to the list. And that's going to go for all the days of the week. And then at the end, what it's going to show us, hey, this is your meal plan. And it's going to print out what we chose. All right, so it's going to print the day of the week, Monday or Tuesday, whatever, days at whatever index. And then it's going to use a colon and then show what it is that we inserted into this meal. So talk is cheap. Let's get going. All right, and let's run this program. I'm going to hit Command R, Control R. Let's plan your meals for the week. So there we are here. Enter meal for Monday. Tacos, beans, salmon, fish, tofu, pasta, spaghetti. Alrighty, and so then now we have added all of those to the list, and you see, here's your meal for the week. It's printing that. Here's your meal for the week. And then it shows us, it's grabbing what's in the days at the 0th index, and then also what's in meals at the 0th index. So I first initially entered tacos. All right, guys. There's a lot of talking in here. I am going to add this to the resources for this lesson so you can play with it a little bit. And I will see you in the next lesson.